Hello, everyone. Today is our discussion meeting on habit number 6, synergy. And this is our meeting number 23. How I mentioned that I don't have any plans, and we today will create synergy. I will have one question for you. You probably remember this slide, right? This is valuing the differences. Valuing the differences is the essence of synergy. So why I choose to ask question? Because I want to, I have my opinion and I want to know your input and insight on it. How do you understand the essence of synergy? So you remember also that the key is to realize that all people see the world differently, right? And you remember about these people, who think that they are right. And in fact, everybody has opinion, right? This girl thinks that her opinion, no, not thinks, to her, her opinion is the truth. But to him, obviously it's not. And the same with the guy. So his opinion to him is the truth, but to her, it's not necessarily. So, and my question is, what is about how much should we value the differences? Until what degree should we value the differences in us and the other people? Yes, Richard, please.
Excellent question.
Where
do we go from here? Wow. So you got to imagine that you and another person have completely different points of view. And somehow you have to value their point of view. And what does that mean? By valuing, does it mean that you take on some of their perspective and make it your own? Or do you just accept that you're not going to change that position? So valuing is key, but I believe it comes to a point where you have to take some of what the other person is saying and accept it as part of the solution.
Okay, I see, and yes, I think it's a very good answer. What I consider that there is no one answer for this question. What Richard said, it's absolutely right. However, how's about this? If a woman and a man is well, actually arguing, or two guys, let's do this. I just want to, out of blue, to take an example. And one guy is saying, do you know, narcotic is great. They are fabulous. And the other is saying, no, it's bad. How that person who is saying it's bad, what kind of part of somebody else's opinion he needs to accept? Yes.
Okay, well,
Yes, Richard?
I'll add to that of course, if it's something that's outside of your principles, then there's no need to accept anything. We're talking about differences where you can come to some agreement, but obviously something that's way out of your principles, like narcotics, that's certainly something you absolutely don't need to accept at all.
Beautiful, beautiful answer, bingo, Richard. Why I ask that? Because I actually see, and I see very often when I don't mean you guys. I mean in life, when people learn something or read something, and then they are using it regardlessly. Doesn't matter what situation, but they are stubbornly or blindly go to that. No, please, we don't need to do that. We need, how Richard said, to evaluate the situation, and the opinions. Actually, opinions are great, but the decision should based on facts, data, and common sense, right? Beautiful answer, Richard. Thank you. Pravin, please. Thank you for participating.
Sure. Yeah, I handled this poorly yesterday, actually, with a friend. Someone, like, to Richard's point about about the narcotics, right? So, like, someone invited me to a party, and I told them I don't participate in that. I just said it as a matter of fact, but I guess they took it as judgmental, and I think I didn't really like my this is all over text, right? So the tone doesn't come off. So I think I offended the people who invited me. Their intent was to be, friendly to me. And I think I came off as judgmental, which wasn't my intent. But later on, I realized I could have phrased it better.
If I correct understand, you mean they were friendly, you weren't
Oh no,
friendly.
Yeah, they invited me to a party, and they said, the type of party it was, it'd be like things I don't participate in. And I said no, and I told them I don't do that type of thing. And I think I came off. I think they took it as me being unfriendly when really it was a party to be friends, right? So I didn't really take into account their intention as opposed to the result as much as I should have, I think.
Okay. Is anybody? Do you accept feedback from us?
Yeah.
Yes. Is anybody wants to say something about this?
Do you know for sure they took it the wrong way?
Yeah, because after I didn't get a text back for a bit, I invited them to we had our vegan brunch, a beach vegan block party yesterday. I told them I had an extra ticket and they didn't reply. So I think, yeah, probably. Yeah. That's a good point though. You have to test the theory, right? You can't just assume, live in your head all the time.
Yes. What I want to say that if you realize it, it's already 50% of fixing the situation. And this time, a couple more times, but it will be gone. And what you are doing, don't be too tough on yourself. It's a learning process, and we all going through that. My favorite example, it's riding a bicycle. You cannot sit on the bicycle and smoothly go, right? You need to practice, and you can fall a couple of times. So I think that what you realize, it is great. I actually wanted to go to that vegan party, and we miss it. So have you been there?
Yeah, I live streamed it on Twitter, so it's all there.
Yeah, if it would be more those parties, we would our family would go. Because I am vegetarian, our daughter is vegetarian, and my husband is partially vegetarian. So wonderful. Yes, Richard.
Well, it reminds me of one of the very first habits, and one of my favorites is the gap between stimulus and reaction. And I've exercised this a few times lately. I think effectively, but especially in text messages, you have plenty of time to gap, to take your time in response. And so because nobody knows if you actually saw the message or when you saw it. So you have time. And Covey talked about using that gap between the stimulus, which might have made you react pretty quickly in a certain way, and just wait a little while before actually responding. As I said, I've done this a few times recently, especially in text messages, and it works very well.
Great, Edin. Great, Edin. Yes, it's one of my favorite proactivity gap. Habit one is, yeah, it's terrific, and for women it's very difficult. But I'm trying to use it, and Violetta has a bracelet, and whatever before to answer something, she's changing from one hand to another, but it's probably not for men. It's more feminine side. Thank you so much. And to finish this slide and move ahead, I just want to add that while I offer an extreme example, we need to look for, even in normal life situation, we need to value, but in opinions, we actually need to know that opinions can be very illogical. So not even extreme how I offered, are just illogical. And the opinions can be blind to logic. Opinions are facts, which without facts even can lead to some series of bad decisions, right? But for example, this author, and he was very popular in time of COVID. He, professor, author, scientist, he said that without data, you are just another person with opinions. So obviously he is not very value somebody's opinion. So that's it. Thank you. Oh, no, it's actually will be, let's go to this. If it's, I will have time, I will review my homework. This is application suggestions for habit 6. This is for habit 5 and for habit 4. So guys, now it's your turn, your time to shine. If you have any homework for these 3 habits, we are looking forward to listen to you. Richard, please.
Okay, I'll start. But for certain, what you've said quite a few times, that without practice, these things that we've learned over the past few weeks or many weeks just go out the window. You find yourself in a situation where you react normally as you always do, and it's probably not the right reaction when you know that the different reaction would be more suitable. You find yourself in that heated conversation, and why did it get heated in the first place? And could you have responded differently? And so I took the opportunity, and I find, like I said before, that just leaving a space or a gap between answering situations is a good way for you to, or for us to, just formulate a response that would be more appropriate. And so I started thinking about the situations that I normally have at work all the time. And as far as synergy goes, I have a disagreement with one of the guys that works for me. And rather than coming down on him and saying, you're not doing what I told you to do, I decided to call him and discuss. And so the first phase of this is going to be to listen, and just to listen to everything he has to say about the subject. And as he was talking, about it and expressing himself. I'm just listening. But it also comes to light that he's beginning to realize as he's talking that what he's doing is not exactly producing the best result. And so he can then begin to question that there might be other alternatives. In the process of letting him speak, he was also already calling to open his mind up to what I might have to say to him. So when he finished and I've listened and I've understood, then I began to talk about some alternatives. So I wasn't looking exactly to tell him, this is what you need to do. I've told you this before. And if you just follow what I tell you, then everything will be fine. Instead of that, I thought about something completely different and suggested this as a possible answer to the situation. And so just to be a little bit more accurate, descriptive of the problem, these are restaurants. And when they make the French fries, first, they cook the fries for a few minutes, and then they put them in the refrigerator. And once the customer orders fries, they take them out of the refrigerator and they cook them up for an extra additional time. But they're coming out too dark and kind of ugly looking. His suggestion was, we just leave it up to the cook to decide when it's right and when it's wrong. And I'm thinking that the cooks are probably not paying that much attention because you leave something that I guess that you leave that decision up to them. They're likely to be busy doing something else and may not be paying attention. And so there's a lot of inconsistency that happens in that case. So I understand that he's giving them the option to figure out what is correct or time frame to cook fries. But it's, like I said to him, it's inconsistent. So I suggested that in the beginning process, where they're done by one person before operations begin, that in that case, explain to that person to do the initial cooking, maybe a little longer, a little less. And that way, when the cook on the line now has to take those fries and prepare them for the customer, they don't have to think about it. And they can just cook them whatever time it is, and then it'll always come out consistently. So it's something that that he seemed to find easily implementable, and may allow him to move forward with that. So I can't say that it was exactly synergy, but it's to take two opposing views and then bring it to a different location with a completely different solution.
I love it. I love it. Anybody wants to comment? Hello, Monique. Nice to see you. And hello, Rigi. We will give you a couple of minutes to introduce yourself a little bit later. Right now, we will comment Richard's whole work. So anybody wants to say about what Richard said?
I mean, I'll pipe in. I think like there's a importance of like diversity, not just in people, but also in opinions and thoughts and such. And I think like sometimes in an organization or society or community, you know, having the right answer isn't the goal all the time. And in the future, when people are less curious or able to voice their opinions, we lose a lot. And that's when things really can get off long-term, off the rails. So I think like from that point of view, you know, someone like the chef or people asking other people's opinions, it might not seem ideal, but I think from the dynamics of the restaurant itself, it might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yeah, thank you, Pravin. Brian?
So I guess, Richard, have you, how much experimenting with it have you done? I mean, have you tried determining like where the issue is and stuff like that? Because I know with that kind of thing, it would seem like you could experiment to determine where the best how the fries should be done, right? You could try different batches and stuff like that. Have you experimented with it to determine what you need? I'm sorry, I'm asking more about the fry issue, I guess. So
Yeah, it's not something that I have experimented a lot with. I was just merely offering an alternative approach that might produce more consistent results. And
Right.
so really the implementation of that, I left it to the manager and his associate manager as well.
Right.
And because his initial thought was, should I just tell the initial cook to decide when to do this or how to do this? And I said, well, you know, you guys are the ones that can judge that and make the suggestion on how to move forward. But it's an alternative, I think, because the initial cooking process is not as time sensitive as when you're actually producing products in the kitchen for the customers. So the guy that does the initial work has more leeway on his time. So that was my offer to them, is to then figure it out how to implement it from there.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, it sounds like to me like you approached it in a really good, I mean, really good approach, I guess. I mean, it sounds like you sort of came to an agreement, I guess, on the best method to do it. I would tend to agree with you. I think that's probably right. I would agree with you there. I think that's probably right.
I would say as well that I looked at Lena's suggestion for the homework first, read through it, and once I knew that in my head, so I knew how to approach the situation when I actually confronted him, not confronted him, but called him. And so it's true that if I hadn't read the information ahead of time and just said, well, let me call him and see what's going on, I might have had a different reaction. So in advance, I kind of prepared for this, trying to implement synergy purposefully. But if we don't do that on a regular basis in our lives, we may just, like I said before, we just pick a reaction that first comes into our heads, and it may not be the correct one. So in this case, like I said, I definitely had prep work before I even started.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Richard. Thank you so much. I just one thing to say, it's not my homework, it's Mr. Covey. So I don't want to take his credit for me. I'm a messenger for him. And what I noticed also, and what I like, that during the conversation, because you gave the manager talk, while he was talking, he figured out the problem by himself. And this is all part of the problem. And Mr. Covey told about that. If we will let people chance to talk, they might figure out the solution by themselves. And this is a huge power, because if a person figure out by himself or herself, not from us, they will be completely sure that it's right. So we don't like when somebody is telling us, even if we can be right, people don't like to do somebody's advice, like probably me as well. Thank you. Great job, Richard. Anybody else? Hello, Monique. How are you? We are very happy to see you.
I'm good, Lena. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So we today we are doing homework for 3 habits: 6, 5, and 4. Anything anybody want to share? So you can continue to think. I will scold you a little bit because it's absolutely necessary. I will do it with love and kindness. But guys, really, what do know, I know that we are all adults, but if we won't practice, it will go to south. Everything, our just your time, which we spend time here. Yes, we have fun, but how is about be effective? Have fun and plus benefit, and plus get almost everything what we learned. It's impossible without practice. Let me come back one more time about the bicycle. What we are doing, we are studying the bicycle, we are looking at instruction, how to drive a bicycle, right? We know that we need to push the bicycle with one leg, put the other leg on the pedal, and then with the push, when the bicycle is moving, we need to move across the other leg and sit down and try to keep a balance, right? But if we won't drive, sit on the bicycle, we never will be able to drive a bicycle. And this is absolutely the same story. We know everything, but if we won't practice, we won't be able to make it. You can continue to think if somebody wants to share. Let me give you my follow-up, and I will try to do not spread so much like before. So I will just, Monik, maybe you don't know, Pravin, you also don't know, I don't know, Shan, what habit did you join us? Do you remember? I think around habit 4 or maybe.
Was it win-win or the one before it?
Yes, yes. So I'm here, right? So 3, 4 habit. Then probably you've heard them. Many didn't hear. So I won't repeat everything. I had 3 homeworks and I shared with you. So the first homework was with the organizer of the other group. When I asked a question and she sent me to listen a lecture, and I think, yeah, I like that lecture, but no, I'm asking your opinion. And she said that we need to be very humble and follow what teacher said. So we had not argument, but it was pretty sharp and pointed and a little bit not rude, but very shutting down the message. So, and in normal situation, I would never approach her. I would just leave and that's it. But I know her for many years and she was actually fine. So I prepared. If you remember, I showed with that slide. I won't come back to that slide. Maybe for Monik, I'll show. It's really fun. Yeah. This Monik, it's I was preparing for the situation with with that girl. This first I read it, I couldn't believe what she was telling to me. Then I was angry, and then I didn't understand what's going on, and then I started to type. So for 3 days I was preparing, and from this mood I was going. So what I want to say that it's difficult. Listen. One thing, and preparing to confront a person, it's completely different. Like, believe me, completely different. So I was preparing for 3 days. I was going, I was thinking. So I approached her. Let me don't go again into details. Because of my preparation, like Richard, I let her to talk. And then I confront her. So we ended up perfectly. My follow-up review. to know that it happened again. So I posed a question, and she said she sent me this time to read a book. And I said, no, actually it's a chat board. In a chat board, we need to communicate with words from what we think. Can you imagine you post something on our chat board, and I said, okay, read Mr. COVID chapter 5. No, it's not for that. So my story short. This time I didn't. Of course, I didn't call her. Of course, I didn't talk to her because I understood that it's her value. It's what she is and who she is. I don't have any rights to change her. I need to accept who she is and communicate with her and the group through the sending each other to book lectures. Or I just need to move ahead and find another group where people are communicating by their own words, right? So I saved my result. I saved the relationship with her. We are fine. We are wonderful to each other. But because it repeated completely, like completely repeated, now I are free to make my decision or continue to communicate this way or move ahead and leave the group. So still, I think it's a positive result. Second, my homework follow-up, it's about my friend who was pretty a little bit insistingly rude with the messages because you know situation in Russia is very bad, and people are very emotional. And when I called to her and let her talk, she said everything for a long time, but then I was able to tell her what I think, and actually she added. And right now we are in perfect relationship, perfect. We talk already again recently. We have 4 friends. I have 4 friends in my country. When we were students and we were friends, and it was communication like nothing. Nothing happened, so I'm happy for that. Brian, did you want to comment something?
Yeah, I was going to so I thought I'd I guess follow up a bit on my what was it? Well, about a month ago. Well, no, it was even earlier. Yeah, it was about a month ago. I had mentioned about you know that I was talking about how there, you know, the situation with the university in terms of they
Right,
wanted
right.
the students to go back to classes. So this was over a month ago. Yeah, it was about a month and a half ago, actually, now that I think about it. But I had mentioned that you know, I was telling you that I was thinking about, you know, the whole idea of going back to classes and stuff like that, and that I had asked the students about it. And you know, after polling the students and stuff, they had said that they didn't want to go back to class. They didn't want to be in person. A lot of them hadn't been, you know, even in person yet, and at least in person for a couple of years. So they told me they didn't want to, particularly at that point in time. You know, it was 6 weeks into the term. It was like the last thing we want to do is really, you know, change what we have right now. So originally, you know, that my thought was that okay, you know, that I was going to do that because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go to teaching in person either. To be honest with you, not at all. I didn't want to do it. I hadn't done it in a few years, and you know, in fact, I haven't taught in person in over 3 years. So so it's like I've been, you know, we've been doing this online stuff. I did it for about, you know, 6 months now, And I was like, the last thing I want to do is suddenly be in person again. Well, and then, you know, last month or whatever, we had this meeting, you know, our meetup here. And you know, I mentioned to you, I mentioned to the group, I guess, the what my thoughts were.
All right.
And then you, Lena, sort of made comments about it. And to put it mildly, I think that pretty much, how would I want to say this? That pretty much, because up until that point, I thought it was a good idea. Like I thought what I was doing was right. But then what you said, all of a sudden, it was like your comments and stuff. All of a sudden, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to fly. It's not going to work at all. And I pretty much knew at that point that there was really no point at all to really try to do it. But I went ahead and I talked to I talked to a couple other people who are involved with the university, and one is, you know, of course, my department head. His comments were pretty much, you know, that you have to go back to class. You don't have any choice in it. Which, you know, depending on, I guess that was mainly a department thing, but he said that there's no choice in it. So, so of course, you know, I was quite angry about it. I really didn't want to go through with it. But, you know, I pretty much knew at that time that, you know, there really wasn't a way to sort of fight over the whole thing. So, so, you know, so we've been back in classes now since the start of March, and in the last few weeks have been in class and everything. You know, and instead of, I guess, instead of, you know, fighting over it, or, you know, sort of subversively work with, you know, do it, which I was sort of thinking about. We sort of have this middle ground, I guess, where we're still doing exams online, but, you know, all the classes and everything are in person. So you know, so I met with my department head this week and stuff, and we had a nice talk. You know, we got together for lunch, and it was nice. But yeah, it was pretty much your comments, I guess, that pretty much made it quite clear to me, at least, that it wasn't going to work. So I didn't really pursue it. I kind of knew it wasn't going to work, but anyhow, so it's kind of so you know, that's kind of an update on that situation, I guess, on how that ended up. So
Thank you, Brian. Is anybody wants to say something? Yes, Richard.
Well, I'm interested in the overall experience, and the positive and negative, and just unclear why in-person teaching could be negative for you. I know there's concerns about COVID and so on, but have those fears been verified, and or is it something that's working to an extent, or is it just still very, very difficult?
well, to be honest with you, well, I would say, like, my concerns personally didn't, yeah, well, I probably don't really, you know, shouldn't go too far into this, but I mean, really, it wasn't, I mean, it's gone okay. I mean, I have been really leery of a lot of stuff that I have seen, and it's not for me. It's not the disease itself that I'm really worried about. It's more the people. It's more to deal with the people and everything, and particularly I guess here, but in other places too, it's a lot the same. And it was more particularly a lot of the attitude and stuff that I had seen, of people involved and around the university that that I don't like and I don't agree with, and I didn't want to be. What I was more worried about was how people were going to be, I guess, because I don't agree with a lot of the common sort of opinions on that stuff and things, and so what I did not want to be in. I was really worried about all that because particularly with everything that's gone on for me over the last few years, I was really worried about being put in a situation of having to deal with a lot of other things. And, like I said, we were in a situation that was kind of working. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And I didn't really want to have to deal with a lot of the stuff that, anyhow, so the way things have worked out, it's actually gone well, to be honest with you, because I think I think anyhow that the in-class stuff has actually worked well. I would say it's I was pretty worried about how it would go down, but but I think it's gone okay. There haven't been any incidents with the students and stuff like that, and overall, I'd say it's gone pretty well. So it's definitely been nice. Lecturing in person is definitely better than doing it online or doing it through Zoom. Doing it through Zoom's not very fun. So doing it in person is much better. So
Right.
yeah,
And
so that's been an improvement.
so beautiful ending. So you actually found the benefit of even you didn't want it at first. So great. I think you figure out a great thing. What I wanted to say, what I was talking, not everything, I just one thing. We need to remember that everybody, both dean, professors, they are all in the universities for the benefit of students. So, and even if students will want online classes, professors should do it. If students want in-person classes, professors should do it. So this is the higher level of serving people. We are there, for example, if I'm a professor or Richard is dean, Brian, you're a professor, and we have meeting, we are serving our professors, our students, and it doesn't matter who we like, who we don't like, what is our personal attitude toward anything. We need to put all our efforts to serve students. So, and because yes, you were talking also, Brian, that you wanted to survey students. Yes, and it's very important. Yes, please. Yes, Brian.
I hate to disagree with you, Lena, but the truth is the modern or however you want to say it, academia it is now. I don't really think. I mean, we can argue over this, but the truth is that's not it's not who they really care about anymore, I'm afraid. It's not the students, you know. We certainly like to talk about the students and everything, but the truth is, you know, from
Then
my
be the,
involvement, it's not about the students anymore. Even though I would agree with you that that should be the way it should be, but in actuality, I don't think it's true. Increasingly, that's not the case at all. And that's one of the many reasons I think that I don't see academia as a future for myself. One of the many reasons, but that would be one of them. That the truth is that it's increasingly just not. It's not about the students basically at all. You know,
so
and
let
you know,
me,
there's many.
I
What's that?
understood you, thank you. Let me answer by the words of Mr. Covey. Be the example, be the light, not a judge.
Well, it's not going to involve me because I'm not going to be involved. I'm not going to be working in academia anymore anyhow. So
It doesn't
I'm not.
matter. It doesn't
So
matter, Brian, where you're working. In academia, in mathematics, in retail, doesn't matter. Mr. Covey said, and I absolutely love it, be an example. Be an example, not a judge. Be a light, not a judge. So thank you. Anyway, I think you did great. You learned a couple of things and you found even benefit of what you did. Yes, I think you did great, Brian. Thank you. Richard, please.
Yeah, I can imagine that college campuses are not what they used to be. Just from, I guess, trying to learn a little bit. My daughter's still in college. From what's been going on, I guess some colleges are a bit more temperamental than others, and students can try to. Well, I guess some of them believe much more about themselves than they've actually achieved in life yet. So they can be sometimes confrontational in situations. But in the case of my daughter, and being a parent and paying tuition, I think certainly from the students or the parents' point of view, that we pay tuition for in-person learning, not for Zoom, and so that might have something to do with what the staff was promoting as far as in-person learning, but I'm not there, and so what I'd like to say is hopefully you have something moving forward beyond college, and we had discussed a few options. Hopefully something along those lines worked out for you.
Absolutely, absolutely, Richard. Thank you so much. One thing, it's I think we studied it, and it called romanticize the past. So what before people were good, and right now people are not good. What before health was better, and my grandfather was living till 90 and he never was sick. Before blah 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 blah. No, guys, it's called romanticizing. Yes, now I remember it was in psychology class. Romanticizing the past. It's absolutely not. In the past, of course, was something good, but right now good is much more. Because we are here, we usually don't value and we take it for granted. But before was a lot of conservatism, a lot of rudeness, a lot of unfair things. So it was enough there something new. Stuff which was not very pleasant. So because I think that right now we are living better, and with technology and with human development and the other stuff. But it's just my opinion. Anybody else? And the last thing, because I mentioned you that I had three situations, I had three homeworks. The last situation when I called to my nephew, and he's 35, and I explained to him that at the age of 35, he's a man, he needs to take care of his mom, and it's my sister, and unfortunately her husband passed away. And the women cannot be alone. So right now she is retired and she needs his help. He was still playing a little baby. So, and he was very unhappy, of course, with my comment, but you know, I'm his aunt, and if not me, unfortunately, my father and my mom passed away, so I'm only one who she has, and I has to protect her. And we didn't talk for half a year because he was very upset, but I've heard that he did it actually. He came and he helped her. And then I called and he was extremely happy. And we talk, and since we are communicating. So my final follow-up, I return all three relationships with the Mr. Covey approach, and even one didn't work because the woman was continue who she is, but it's her rights. We still friends, and with the two others, we are completely restored to win-win situations. So this is my follow-up. Yes, Pravin.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment that, like, with Brian's situation and other things as well, similar. It's like, seems like people, their role itself puts a damper on what they can say, how human they can be, how they can respond. Obviously, like a dean versus someone else, or the dean outside of work can do some things. He might be the messenger per se, but just in general, some people don't want to be helped, right? They don't want the, when you're communicating with someone, they don't want the lecture. You can only like focus on yourself. Like, for example, like, we host the Miami Science Fiction Film Festival. I'm mentioning that because of Monique's background, the stormtrooper there. It's a way to gently get that out there. So, a lot of filmmakers, right? They have a dream. It's not my responsibility to kill their dream. Basically, they're happy. They have whatever they're doing on the side. They're independent sci-fi filmmakers, and that's fine. It's like they're not hurting anyone. I'm not going to tell them their film is good or bad or anything like that. Too, they might not get in the festival, but it's their dream. It's not, and I'm just there to be part of their life story per se. So I keep my opinions to myself, even though they might be expecting me to give my opinion. I kind of give it a very gentle way where I don't really say anything. So they're on a journey themselves too. So
Yes. Who is the next?
By the way, I identify as Jedi and believe in the power of the Force. I'd love to have that background as well. That's Monique.
Richard, maybe I didn't understand you. You were asking about power of force from Monique, right?
Star Wars.
No, I was just making
what
a
he's
silly
referencing.
comment about Star Wars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the stormtrooper. I got you.
Okay. Monique, will you share with us anything? Last time, many times you shared wonderful, wonderful stories. We actually listen to you. Something is going preparation. Oh, she probably cannot talk because she's leaving that room. Yes, so we will listen Monique right now. What at least what she will say. And we are already 1 hour. So I want to tell you that the next meeting will be our last habit. And I'm completely ready for that habit, and I can tell you it's fun. I absolutely like that habit. Actually, even number 6 habit is a little bit challenging because we need to deal with only highly effective people to do synergy. We cannot do synergy with the dependent people. But number 7 habit is fantastic. Yes, Monique, tell us something. We were waiting.
I'm sorry, Miss Lena. What did you say? I apologize.
So we were waiting. We used that you often sharing with us very precious stories. If, for example, you don't have anything, it's completely fine. But we just wanted to listen your voice and what you want to share with us, if you have something.
You know, I really don't have anything to share, to be honest with you, but I listened to a video this afternoon about taking the time to celebrate our own wins.
Mhm.
You know, we reach certain goals or certain tasks, and once we get there, we just say, okay, yeah, we have it, and just go to the next task or next goal. And it's really important to say, yeah, I did that. You know, what's next for me? And that's what I learned today, that if someone gives you a compliment, or, you know, Richard, Brian, Praveen, Lila, Tashan, Lena, you know, job well done. It's okay to say, yeah, definitely job well done. I did that. It's not being boastful or braggadocious. It's just, like you said, synergy. It's a must that we celebrate ourselves as we move
Such a
forward.
such a beautiful adding. Thank you. Very feminine, very calm, and very positive. Thank you, Monique. So, guys, what I want to say you, I told already about habit number 7 next time. Probably you know about it. Are you sure that you don't want to share anything? And I will offer to you something. Yes, I guess you sure. And you actually received my already not reproach, how to say. I scolded you a little bit, so please continue. This is homework 4, 5, and 6, not for 1 week, not for 1 month, until the rest of our lives. So right now it's 1 hour, and we can finish. Because I don't plan, even I'm completely ready for habit number 7, but it's not our schedule. We will start habit number 7 next week. We will start right away. But because we have time, I can offer to you, I want to share with you something. It's about a new thing which I want to start. And if you would be interested, I would be very, very happy to see you. Because I want actually a very close circle of people, friends who has mind, with whom I can get feedback. But please feel free. If you need to go, please go. If you during my conversation need to go, you can go. But I want to offer to you what I am very impressed. So, I will start another meeting, The Power of Now. on April 9th. This is not about what I want to talk about. I actually want to talk with you about something different. So let me share with you. Do you see? I shared. Is it shared? Yes, guys. I cannot say that I'm religious. I definitely believe in God. I know that something is there, but that for my opinion, that who He is, I still don't have my opinion, and I'm extensively studying. And after reading this Gospel in Brief by Leo Tolstoy, I can tell you that to me, I cannot tell for everyone, but to me, I understood the whole teaching of Christ, of Jesus. I really, for me, there is no questions. Do you hear all the time, oh, Jesus said that, but he said that, but he really mean that. And the other person, yes, he said that, I know, but he really meant this. Guys, this is cannot be for the wisdom which is going 2000 years. You know, the most wisdom, what is that? When it's clear, precise, and to the point, right? And I was also the same, but I always wanted to know what is that. And I can think that we can trust Leo Tolstoy. Don't know what was happened. In his 50s, I think we are exactly less or more, we are at that age. Don't know, he was famous. He had a family, he had 13 children, he had wife, he was had hundreds of friends, but can you imagine in his 50s, he started to look for meaning of life and he became depressed. Wow, I was surprised to figure out it. And he looked everywhere. He looked in science and philosophies, in just literature, and he couldn't find. And then he started to search in Christianity. And you know, Christianity, the main thing is Gospels. So he decided to learn from the source. For almost 3 years, he studied the ancient Greek language by himself as teacher. Then for also 3 years, he was translating the original gospel by himself, word by word. And this is gospel in brief, but there is actually a very thick book when he is writing one word in Greek and the other in translation. And you know, this is what he said by himself. He said that he found himself in a position for a man who receives a bag of dirt where lies priceless pearls. So what did he mean by that? He said that the teaching of Christ is priceless. It's beautiful. But when it went through the churches, through the people, it become like not bended, how to say, many discrepancies, many things which do not match Christ's teaching. And so if you would be interested, this is a book, just 100 pages. We can come together and read it and discuss right away. This is even not the point for PowerPoint, because we can read ourselves. It's concise, it's easy, understandable right away. There is no need my lecture or somebody else's lecture. We will read and we will understand right away. To me, it's a wonderful opportunity to finally understand what is that, what he was meaning. But for example, if we will go here, what he figured out that you remember, our Father which art in heaven. So the Lord Prayer actually is nothing but a very concise expression of the whole teaching of Jesus. I didn't know that. We won't go anything further. I just want to give you a brief description. So everything what we are saying, Lord Prayer, it's all Christ's teaching. And then, so when the Leo Tolstoy did it, he said that when he translated, he left everything how it is. There is no omission toward Jesus' teaching. However, let's look here, and if anybody can somebody to read the following. So what was omitted? If we will go to Gospel in brief, and it's 4 Gospels, you know that exist 4 Gospels. So was omitted the conception and birth of John the Baptist, his imprisonment and death, the birth of Jesus, his genealogy, his mother's flight with him to Egypt, his miracles at Cana and Capernaum, the casting out the devils, the walking on the sea, the blessing of the fig tree, the healing of the sick, the raising of the dead, the resurrection of Christ himself, and the reference to prophecies fulfilled by his life. And you can tell me why it was, we won't see it in Gospels in brief. Those passages are omitted because they contain nothing of the teaching, but only describing events they took place before, during, and after the period which Jesus was teaching. And he said that they complicate the exposition. So what does he mean? Leo Tolstoy was interested in pure teaching of Jesus. He wasn't interested in it. And for example, if somebody is interested in it, yes, go ahead and study that. But I am really interested in Jesus' teaching. What is that? Why for 2000 years, teaching of one man who were preaching for 3 years, guys? He started to preaching at the age of 30, and at 33 he was crucified. So for 3 years he left this unbelievable uplifting teaching, which is keeping people uplifted for 2000 years. Something is that, and don't know if he said that in Jesus' teaching he found all answers on his questions. He found the meaning of life. And he found a lot of other questions even to the others. So this just my brief review. If you would be interested, I would be happy to discuss it with you. So I cordially invite you. I didn't do any advertisement yet. This year I make a quick 3 slides just for you to introduce. So far, that's it. From my side, it's all, and we can finish our meeting. Is anybody wants to say something? Yes, Pravin.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how he brings up the pieces that are missing. I think I think you see this a lot in religious, non-religious too, where people are trying to get to the essence of something, and by getting to the essence, later on, or I guess could be multiple generations later on, people forget why what was missing too. So it might have been a good idea at the time when someone was the editor was editing whatever, what to put in, what to leave out, but those decisions were lost. I think Elon Musk is a big proponent of this now too. Anytime someone like says or does something, that they attach their name to it, and later on they figured out that a lot of these things are like people have like taken as a pseudo gospel within a company was like some intern who just randomly put something in for a very brief reason. And people over a long period of time have assumed that everyone else vetted it. And it was a really important reason why someone did something. So it's really good at some point to go back to source material in all areas of our lives to see what it is we're taking for granted. So I really appreciate you bringing this up.
Thank you, Pravin. But I think that this will be everything because how I mentioned the Lord Prayer, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed by name, we will have 12 chapters. And we will read and discuss right away, for example, chapter number 5, the 1, and it would be explained what does it mean, our Father. We will see what does it mean which art in heaven. And it's very easy and understandable. And when I read it, how I mentioned, when you read in whole, not one chapter there, then the other chapter and the other gospel, and it's all scattered. But when it's brought in one bag, it's become clear. Any other comments?
In Catholicism, it's a little bit different with the prayer, just a little bit in the wording, I noticed.
Wording can be different, and when I started to study it, I bring the meaning of that, and I was searching in Bible, and it's that. If, for example, wording a little bit different, the meaning, the most important, the meaning. And again, I really don't want to go into the thick book of complete translation. And then it will probably take us a couple of years to compare. Personally, I trust to Leo Tolstoy, and I don't plan to check. And we can read what he read, right? It doesn't mean that if we will read it, then we need to cross out our beliefs, what we believed before, and the belief right away only to Leo Tolstoy. No, it's will be a different approach and different look on teaching of Christ. And you know, if, for example, we are going only one way, it's not enough. But if we will approach the situation from many ways, we will become richer and we will know more. Yes, Brian.
I'd be interested to know, did you read this in the Russian? Did you read it in Russian?
I read twice. I read in Russian and I read in English.
Oh,
and
you did
I
read
listened.
it in English too.
Yes,
then, huh?
and I listened in Russian. And unfortunately doesn't exist listen in English, but I will send you, for example, chapter 1. I will send you and you will read it home, think yourself, and we can come and discuss it and read something together.
Well, I know from my perspective, you know, Tolstoy is a pretty interesting, Tolstoy is a pretty interesting fellow. You know, he's a very good writer, but he also, I know his later years, and stuff, a lot of this would be pretty interesting to read about after, because he probably wrote this after like his novels and everything, right? After he was done writing his novels. Was it then, or what, did he start earlier?
Don't know what this happened in his 50s, and
Okay.
exactly he was writing all his life, and I
Yeah.
exactly cannot say when was first and when was the last. However, I can agree with you. I think it was after some of them, because he was already famous. He was famous during life. And what I can tell, he was very brave because he could go against of the whole and the friends and against church, and he was saying that because of those discrepancies, his heart was in pain for people, because he've seen that people believe, and he knew from the source the beauty and timeless pearl and diamond of Christ's teaching. And when he seen that it was not exactly correct what was taught in churches, of course, he was angry, upset, and he was telling it openly. But you can believe and you can understand that the ministers and the power, they didn't like it. And he had problems, but he wasn't in prison because he was famous. He was famous, and they just closed their eyes on him. But this was his later life.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I know a little bit about him because I read his major works, and and I know a little bit about his life too. So it'd be interesting to learn a bit more about his different this stuff which he wrote. Obviously from a very different goal, I guess, rather than his literature.
For these guys, we don't need, thank you, Brian, so much. We don't need to be neither religious nor atheists. It's diamond, Jesus' teaching, it's a diamond in 2000 years. And just be knowledgeable and know in any conversation and any reading, if somebody will mention something, you already know what it is. I think there is no bigger enlightenment in life to figure out and know and understand Jesus' teaching, because people spend their life and they still don't understand. Okay, enough about it. I'm just very passionate, and I can talk about it. And even how I mentioned, I twice, maybe like 3 times I listened, many times I read. I still cannot be satisfied, and I want your insight. And I would be happy to describe it with you, discuss it. Okay, guys, if you don't want to add anything, I tremendously enjoyed our conversation. I wish you a wonderful week, and please come on the wonderful final habit number 7 on Sunday at 4. I promise to you, you will enjoy. And while it feels that we know already a lot, it will still something new. Mr. Covey is always surprise us. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Did you, Lena? Did you put did you create a meetup thing for the Power of Now?
Yes, I did.
So it's on Meetup now?
Yes, and I can send the link again.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thanks.
And the Power of Now, do you know what I noticed? I don't know how did it happen, but the Power of, first we went through 7 habits, and it's practical, it's influencing, it's dynamic, how I accept. Then the Power of Now, it's more about mental work, more about awareness. And it's tremendously will help us to achieve success of 7 habits. Because how I mentioned, if we are not here, if we are not aware, how can we work on ourselves? If we are not aware what we are doing, how can we work on a relationship with somebody else? We just don't see it, guys. And because the Power of Now, if it's awareness book, it's really, really, really necessary. And the gospel in brief, do know it's like a cherry on the top. our base is our practice, our influence, our energy. Then we become aware, and then we know the Christ teaching. Wow, we are set. With these powerful 3 books, we can go ahead and practically know the life. It's my opinion. I'm in love with those. Okay, guys. Thank you so much again. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.